Man, it's easy to get into a rut when you go out to eat the same darn thing every single time on the menu. I don't know why we do that. We're creatures of habit, perhaps, but experimenting with new restaurants and new items at restaurants that you currently frequent doesn't have to be scary. In fact, it can be a whole lot of fun, and that's what we're going to do today. Embracing the philosophy behind Chef Josh Hebert, owner of Posh Restaurant, where he wants you to expand your palate. So he brought a lot of ingredients today, most of which I have not heard of, beginning with this dinosaur plum.
Absolutely. They look like dinosaur eggs. That's why they call them dinosaur plums. So kind of neat little toys. Super sweet, right?
Sweet, and it doesn't have like that kind of that tangy.
Right,
plum.
overly sour.
Sour, yeah,
exactly.
It's sweet all the way through.
Sure.
So today we're talking about a couple different ways that we can incorporate some new ingredients into our repertoire.
Into repertoire, dessert repertoire, regular food later, maybe even a cocktail. So
okay.
What we're doing today first is we're going to use these beautiful dinosaur plums, and we're going to make a little white chocolate mousse to kind of come up with a cool dessert. 'Cause I think a lot of people like white chocolate. I mean, sure, everybody defaults to regular chocolate because
milk chocolate is
the
variety I prefer.
Right. So let's look at a real quick and simple recipe that we can do a lot with, not just this dish, but you can expand it with any type of fruit in just about any season. So we're going to start with a regular old whipped cream here. We have about 3/4 of a cup. Just remember, when you whip cream, it triples in size. Okay. So we're going to go from 3/4 of a cup and basically wind up with just over 2 cups. Okay. And we have about 4 ounces of white chocolate, which we've slowly melted on the top of a double boiler.
You're saying this is heavy whipping cream?
Correct.
Okay.
And so we're going to take this, and it's a pretty easy and simple recipe as far as ingredients go, but there's 2 ways you can kind of goof it up a little bit. So the first way is if your whipped cream's too cold. So if you have time and you're thinking about doing this dish, set your whipped cream before you whip it, or your heavy cream, out on the table for about a half an hour and let it come up to temperature a little bit. And then after you've melted your white chocolate, let it sit for a few seconds. So it's not 110, 112 degrees, whatever the actual melting temperature of white chocolate is. What'll end up happening is the chocolate will kind of, if they're not closer in temperature, one will melt the other, and then they'll break apart a little bit later. Okay. But after that, it's pretty simple. I'm going to just go ahead and pour a little bit of white chocolate and then slowly whisk them together. It looks like they're not going to separate, which is kind of nice.
So if we're going to goof it up, it's going to be in that first little instant. Now, what do we do? I mean, do we got to start from scratch if we do that?
Sadly, we have to start from scratch. But like I said, we did it here where we had the whipped cream just warm enough, and we had the melted chocolate just cool enough. And then we're going to take this and pour it into a container and chill it for about 2 hours. Make sure that it's cold, and it will start to kind of look like more of a mousse consistency, like we have right here. See that, kind of nice and thick and creamy. Yeah. And then this is, again, a real simple, you can cheat and go out to the store and buy shortbread cookies, or you can buy some store-bought puff pastry. There's a lot of ways to kind of tackle the complex pastry side. But just kind of set yourself with a cracker or a cookie. Maybe layer a couple of these beautiful little plums in between.
Is the plums, where would we find something like that?
You know what, I've seen these more and more. I saw these at a Bash's the other day. Oh, okay. They're very seasonal. They're not farmed in high quantity. So it's usually toward the end of the summer that you start to see them. Obviously, the end of the summer for us is subjective, but the end of the summer for the rest of the country, late August. Okay. And kind of set with that, I have a little vanilla honey, which is always a nice little twist or touch. It's kind of a little additional sauce and a kind of contrasting flavor. Brendan,
over there to your left, take a shot of the finished product, because we want to kind of fast-track things here. And what I want to tell everybody is that we're going to dive into this whole concept of a passport program, because this is really kind of the super cool, exciting thing I want to tell you about in the next segment. So, Josh, stick around. Should we partake? Terry, this is good stuff.
Terry's missing out.
Yeah, she's missing out.
It's awfully quiet over there. That's because your mouths are full.
Mouths are full.
That's what happens. I got the long straw with kitchen segment today.
No, seriously.
All right.